All right, guys, let's just take care of this right now. All right. Hysterical strength. Have you heard of that term? Have you heard of that term? It is so annoying because you'll always run into that guy that's like, oh, I can activate hysterical strength at will. You cannot, he cannot, we cannot, and it's for good reason. Because hysterical strength is a term that's used to describe instances in which people exhibit sudden, extraordinary strength in response to perceived threats or crises. This phenomenon is not really understood, and it's not recognized as a legitimate medical or scientific term. It's kind of like bro science. There have been various reports and anecdotes of individuals exhibiting sudden extreme strength in response to a perceived threat or crisis. Think about like the mom that lifted the car off her kid, and we all know that story. But these reports are usually anecdotal and really lack scientific documentation or evidence. Didn't you find that odd? I mean, and I heard that from my mom. Not saying she was wrong, no disrespect to my mom, but y'all heard the same story. Where is it coming from? Let's go into this. It's important to note that the human body has limits to its strength. Ironic because the channel is called NoLimitSquad, but in this particular case, it's actually a good thing because this would be an absolute catastrophe to the human body. Let me explain. Because one, it's not possible to suddenly increase strength to levels that far exceed an individual's normal physical capabilities. You just can't do that. All right, we all love to go Super Saiyan, or if you're a huge Naruto fan, this really reminds me of Rock Lee's 8 inner gates technique, where he destroys his body in exchange for like extraordinary strength. It's a really good thing we can't do that. Look what happened to them. All right, because while extreme physical efforts or adrenaline rushes can temporarily increase an individual's strength, it's really unlikely that someone can exhibit this type of strength that far exceeds their normal physical capabilities. By the way, all right, it's worth noting that in instances of perceived hysterical strength, it may be the result of just people exaggerating. So like, we have to go off of that as well, because it's not really well documented or scientifically recognized. Now, it's all not just negative here, because while it's true that we do have limits to strength, we can't exhibit the strength of a silverback gorilla. They will beat the living crap out of us and probably tear our arms off. Not exaggerating there. All right, it is possible for individuals to increase their strength and physical capabilities through training and exercise. We all know this. Strength training exercises like weightlifting, resistance bands, body weight exercises, isometric training. We all know that can help improve muscle strength and endurance. Example, let's take an example like that, right? So let's say you are in a life or death situation, right? You had to exhibit sudden, extraordinary hysterical strength in response to that threat or crisis. For one, it's likely that this strength would be just temporary, all right? So once the threat or crisis is over, so is the power boost, all right? It would just be temporary. It's not sustainable over an extended period of time. Here's why it's really good that it isn't, because it's possible that such an effort could lead to muscle strain or injury, as the body is not conditioned to handle extreme physical demands like that. So let's take that example of the lady lifting the car off the kid. All right. So essentially, my old car was like 2,800 pounds. All right. So essentially she's deadlifting 2,800. Okay. If she's not conditioned to do that, all right, even I'm not saying she like hulked it all the way up like that. I'm just saying, like, even if it's just a crack, it's still, she moved it enough. Remember force velocity curve, right? Now we're getting all scientific into it. She moved the car up enough so that her son could escape, okay? The connective tissues are done, all right? She shredded them. She's probably crippled, and I don't know the whole story, all right? But I'm just assuming, based on what we know about exercise science and the human body, it don't like that stuff, okay? So she's probably crippled just from that part of the bicep curl part of it, the deadlift part of it alone. Knees are shot, shoulders are shot, all right? Lower back is she probably didn't feel it right there because she was just thinking about save my kid, save my kid. If she was, let's say if she was straining her mouth, like she was just like, clenching her teeth are shattered, okay? Like that type of pressure, it ain't good for the body. Y'all feel me? Kind of see where I'm going with this? Because in general, it's important to use caution, all right? And we want to use common sense when responding to these types of scenarios. First thing is, please, I really hope that no one ever finds themselves in that type of scenario. All right, and to rely on trained professionals to handle dangerous situations. Exerting extreme physical effort or attempting to perform feats of strength beyond one's normal capabilities. And I don't mean like your physical limit, I mean the human body limit. There's a difference between your capable limits and the limits of a Homo sapien. I'm sorry, like there are limits to being a human being. It can be risky and it could potentially result in injury or harm to oneself or other people. Now let's talk about overcoming isometric training, because when I was reading the isometric manual by Paul Wade, he mentioned hysterical strength in there. And I thought that for a split second that OI was training to develop this type of strength. Honestly, I'm really glad that it isn't. Because for one, let's go over what isometric training is, okay? So we know that it's a type of exercise in which the muscle is contracted without any movement of the joint, right? We know that it's an effective form of strength training, especially for people with injuries or, limitations, because they can perform the exercise without stressing a joint. But even here, there's really no scientific evidence, right? No peer-based reviews, none of that, to suggest that isometric training, even OI, the one that gets us like stupidly strong, can lead to the development of hysterical strength. Bruce Lee was incredibly powerful. He had a lot of dense muscle tissues. Everything was just dense. It's not really big, just dense, like things like compressive power, okay? But even that is not hysterical strength, okay? And isometric training is not going to lead to that or the ability to suddenly increase strength to levels that far exceed the limits of a human being. Isometric exercises are really an effective part of a strength training program. In my personal opinion, they should be combined with other types of exercises like dynamic exercise and cardio, just so we get like the whole spectrum. But it should never be performed with the notion that we are going to be, releasing the 8 inner gates, destroying our body, and launching people to the freaking stratosphere. It's just not gonna it's not gonna happen. Again, hysterical strength, Bruce Lee's 1-inch punch and how he sent people flying is much different than hysterical strength. Still absolutely incredible, but this is just on some otherworldly stuff. All right, guys, what are your thoughts? Have you heard of the term before? Has your friend told you about how they can unlock that ability and blah blah blah, folk tales, right? I want you to share your stories on hysterical strength. Comment down below. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to drop a like, go ahead and comment, and if you're not yet part of the squad, hit that subscribe button and come join the squad with us. See you next video. Peace.